A new nature-themed event coming soon. Let's begin. Welcome back to another episode, guys. So last week we got two new skins. We got one for Mercenary that's an A tier skin called Sagittarius. It's quite fancy, has a little bit of gold on it that's not very typical for an A tier, but this is because this is a skin that was related to the champions from last year's Koa Wolves. So these are the skins that they asked, well, these are the characters they asked for skins to be made for, and they look very fancy indeed. Sculptor also got an A tier skin called Sirius, and if you have a look at it, she's actually got a wolf as like a statue on her chair, so that's obviously a reference to the team Wolves. This was on discount for 20% off for the first week only, so make sure you get it before the next patch that will be in a couple of days. Last week we also got some adjustments for some characters, only minor adjustments. Prospectus magnets and little girls memory fragments won't make survivors leave roller coasters. Technically, I think this was a thing that you could do where you could push survivors off of the roller coaster if you timed it correctly. Merry-go-rounds, trams, slides, rope swings, minecarts, and lifts, magnets, and memory fragments, the pages for little girl, won't push them off of those items. You're now immune to them whilst you're on there. They improved the logic for the pursuit status, so this is when a hunter is chasing a survivor. Some Persona web traits, for example hunt, do depend on you being in chase for a certain period of time before they kind of give you speed boosts and stuff like that, so they've made it a little bit more difficult. So if the hunter does lose sight of the survivor for a couple of seconds, it won't necessarily get interrupted. It's only a minor change, I can imagine most people won't notice it, but it will probably make those abilities a little bit more consistent, as they do have some issues in the game. They've improved furniture placing so that furniture can now be retrieved by tapping, and they've changed the effects of some of the footprints for survivor accessories that will now show when the survivors are injured. I'm not sure if this means that they will show when the survivor isn't injured though. Let's talk about what we're getting this week. This week we're getting Season 25 Essence 2, that of course is coming along with the new hunter Nightwatch. So before we talk about the skins that we're getting in that essence, let's talk about Nightwatch. Nightwatch had some adjustments on the test server last week, and of course he might still get some more adjustments before he goes live this Thursday. He got a little bit of a buff with some of his abilities. They increased the height of his wind zone. How he can, maybe this will affect Toy Merchant in the air. I don't think it will, or maybe it will a little bit better, but I think mostly this will be used to differentiate the differences between heights of staircases and stuff like that, so it will affect people going down or up staircases a little bit more. He can now hit faster, or sooner technically, when using the Tempest ability. That's his slow pull ability. Before, he couldn't attack someone after using Tempest. There was a very easy way of you looping him and getting away from him. Now you'll be able to hit survivors a little bit more consistently. When you use Wind Walk, you can now use them in quick succession. You don't have to wait for the ability to end. You can use it, and if you have another one, you can use it again. This means that you'll be able to keep up the movement speed, the high movement speed, for longer. They also increased the dash distance from around 18.4 meters to 21.9 meters, so it's a much longer dash. And now you can actually curve the dash as well. If you're using your camera, you can curve in the direction and you can go around corners a little bit. Not too much though, it's a kind of a wide arc. And they also changed Tempest's judgment time to be shortened from 0.7 to 0.6. So I think this is just when you use the ability, how long it takes to activate. I'm not sure. This is a big buff to Nightwatch. As every character that comes out, everyone complains that he's going to be too strong or too weak. There's people very divided. I think he's probably going to be just right. We've talked a lot on my live streams about some of his weaknesses, which characters counter him, and a lot of the meta characters do counter him, and a lot of off meta characters do counter him as well. He doesn't have Cypher machine pressure, so that's another one of his main issues. So he is going to be getting his exclusive S tier skin, his first skin he's going to be getting in Season 25 Essence 2, that is going to be called Morning Star. It is based off the character Nebuchadnezzar. We talked about it a little bit last week. The A tiers for this essence are The Returned for Mechanic, that's an A tier, and Encroached for Weeping Clown, that is also an A tier. Weeping Clown's one looks pretty fancy, pretty different, and Mechanic's one looks really nice too, kind of dark, evil looking, so that's very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing these skins in the game though, because they do look very cool in the art. I want to see their effects and stuff like that. Maybe there'll be a video this week showing their effects and stuff. This week we're also getting to the end of the crossover for Bungo Stray Dogs. I do think that means that after this week you guys won't be able to open up previous essences and get those crossover skins. I believe that once the essence is over, it gets replaced with a different essence. I'm not completely sure on that. People down in the comments might have to confirm for me, but I do think this is the end of the crossover officially, and we might be getting a part 3 in the future. Let's talk about what's coming in the future. On March 9th, we're getting a new event that is a bit weird called the Verdant Dreams event. It's described as uncover the layers of ruins where the seeds of the future begin. It's mostly an event for Gravekeeper that has a Gravekeeper B tier skin as a reward as far as I can tell. The details as of the moment of me recording this have not been revealed in English, but there is a bit on the Chinese Weibo page that does explain it, but I haven't really translated it. There is some kind of weird stuff there though. As rewards, we can see we're going to be getting a piece of room music, not really sure which one, a portrait frame, 2, maybe 3 pieces of furniture, a B tier skin for Gravekeeper. I think it's B tier, it doesn't look like it's A tier to me. And then there was a separate page that had 3 kind of animal creature things that were dressed up as survivors. Are they pets? Are they sprays? They could be sprays now I think about it. I don't really know what they are. I can imagine that they're sprays though. They are quite cute. But yeah, very nice though. Looking forward to seeing what this event's actually about. I know that season 25 has really only just begun with the fact that we just are getting Essence 2 right now, but we've had a little bit of an inkling, a little bit of a leak now into what we can expect in season 26, at least the rank accessories that we'll be getting. So with season 26, we'll be getting an S tier accessory for wax artist called Jewel. This is a translation from the Chinese, so it might be called something different when it's turned into our server. And this will probably be a carry animation plus effects for him. Very, very cool indeed. I really have no idea what they'll do for wax artist's carry animation. Hopefully it's nothing too boring. There'll be an A tier accessory for Professor called Angry Puffer. Again, I think that's a translation. And an A tier accessory for Wildling called Railway Signal. I can imagine what Wildlings will look like. It will probably have some like flashing lights behind him as if he's a car or maybe like a truck or train or something like that. Professor, I don't know. Will he get like a puffer fish around him when he uses his shield and it will kind of shoot spikes or something? I don't know. It'd be kind of funny to see. There'll also be some B tier accessories for Entomologist, Gravekeeper, Enchantress, and Evil Reptilian. Of course, they won't have effects, but it's nice to know which characters are getting those B tier accessories. Netease also answered a Q&A in our server that answered some interesting questions. Finally, people asked some good questions, and I believe that next week we'll be getting a Chinese Q&A, so that will be very interesting indeed. Some of the questions that were asked were, when is the Ashes of Memory event coming? They said, stay tuned. So that means pretty soon, I would say. I'm going to be guessing here, but I'm expecting either Essence 3, Season 25 Essence 3, or maybe Season 26 Essence 1. We don't know. They keep on kind of hinting it, and they might delay it again and again and again and again and again, and I don't want that because we were waiting since December for this event. We'll be getting some returning items relatively soon. We're getting Photographer's Tenderness accessory. I don't know which one that one is, but that one will be coming around Chinese Valentine's Day. Also, I don't know when Chinese Valentine's Day is. And we'll also be getting the Hush emote returning soon. They didn't say when, they just said soon, so that usually means within the next few weeks. There are some new features that they've kind of rumored that they're going to be talking about. There is going to be an extra emotes page. They are working on making that, so that's going to be 3 emotes pages. They're adding a ranked recording feature that I don't really understand that because we do have the feature to record our matches, but they said that they've got something under development. The question wasn't very clear, and I think their answer wasn't very clear either, but they are making some type of recording feature. And they're also considering making a limited skin color changing option. This is very, very interesting, and I want to see what they're planning on doing, but they haven't started making it, and they are still considering if it's even a possibility and how they would even implement that if that were the case. Interesting though. As for some buffs and nerfs, near the end of season 25, getting closer to season 26, we should see some changes for some characters, some buffs and some nerfs. Female Dancer and Antiquarian will probably be nerfed according to the Q&A. Female Dancer is one of the strongest characters currently in the meta, and Antiquarian is too. so I understand why they're going to be getting nerfed. Naiad is not going to receive any changes, as apparently her win rate and statistics are pretty balanced. Ripper is also not going to receive any changes this season. They clarified with this season, so maybe there's going to be some changes in the future. Composer is also not going to receive any changes, as his win rate is pretty good apparently. And Gamekeeper is probably going to receive a buff. Gamekeeper, a character that has some very interesting abilities and can feel quite oppressive in some circumstances, but also not strong in the majority of situations. Is interesting going to see how they have given him a rework completely. That wasn't too long ago. That was a year ago probably, or 1 or 2 years ago. I would like to see them be careful with his buff, because I don't want him to be a character that's just very simple to use. I want him to be skilled, of course, but also interesting and possible to win with. I don't really know how they'll do that, because his abilities are already very, very strong if you think about it. It's just how maps work that is his weakness. How do you think that Female Dancer and Antiquarian will get nerfed? Tell me down in the comments below. And make sure you click on the video that's appeared on the screen to make sure you get as rich as possible before the next season.